how am I supposed to believe you when you have no social presence? And those are big lessons for us because onto that point, we're helping a lot of people with their stuff, but we're not putting any love back into our own platform. So it was really a gut punch. Let me tell you, if you are there looking for a secret sauce of what's the perfect format, what's the perfect video, you're not going to find it. You have to start creating yourself. You have to start working with a team that keeps you very involved in the creation process, because you as a creator is one of the big elements of your content working or not working. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Content is Profit. I just wrapped up an episode where I was interviewed about how to be consistent and how to create the amount of content that everybody is, I guess, telling us to do, right? And it was like a really interesting conversation because the podcast host on the other side, Katie, she actually has been on the show before, and she was an agency. Her main message is about this framework of 4 posts a week, which I personally love, right? And we'll get into this in just a second. But then our point of view on our side has been really interesting because we are big fans of higher volume. We're big fans of obviously multi-purposing. We've seen increase in discoverability for podcasts up to 90% because we're creating these amazing clips that go on social media where they're talking head, engaging videos, top of funnel type of thing. So every time we come together on an event, it can get pretty interesting, the conversation, and we love her and she loves us, and but it's 2 different crashing points of view, which is really beautiful about these conversations that we're having on podcasts. So I really want to debrief that conversation for a second and kind of put my thoughts out there and maybe help somebody that might be stuck right now with maybe thinking I should be doing a lot of content, or I don't even know how to get started to be consistent, or I don't know what type of content do I need to create to move forward in my business and for this to have a positive ROI, right? So I'll start saying there's no secret sauce, right? Every single person that you've seen out there, I mean, we've been doing this for more than 7 years now, and we've been helping incredible companies. We've seen it. We've had the guests on the show that have their incredible content ecosystems. So we've seen it all. And let me tell you, we've seen it. We've seen so many different frameworks, so many different structures of distribution, so many different structures of content production, right? And let me tell you, if you are there looking for a secret sauce of what's the perfect format, what's the perfect video, you're not going to find it. You have to start creating yourself. You have to start working with a team that keeps you very involved in the creation process, because you as a creator is one of the big elements of your content working or not working, right? So with that being said, right, a lot of people might seem intimidated. Okay, do I have to record the video? Do I have to do the writing? The answer to that is maybe. So depends on what type of content you want to create. So I'll start with this. For the first 3 years of our company, where we're doing it as a side gig, we will go to these businesses and we will knock on the door and we'll advertise ourselves as the anti-marketing agency, right? And it was interesting because we were serving, them with a product where we will come in and we'll take pictures of their business, we'll record videos, and we'll give those assets, monthly assets, to the company or to the business, and then they'll distribute it, right? Most small businesses, so we will go to restaurants, gyms, stuff like that, and we'll help them with their social media presence, just because it was one of the things last in their list, right? Which maybe some of you listening right now might relate to that. It's like I have, payroll issues, I have staffing issues, I have customers that come in every day to my brick and mortar. Content might not be the first thing that I might thinking. So it wasn't until we had a meeting with these 7 business owners that one of our clients set us up with, and we're pitching them. We're telling them, what are we doing for this business? We're telling them exactly what's been happening and the results that they've been getting. And the current business owner that we're helping was really, really happy with their results. So he was like, okay, I'm going to bring in my friends that they all own businesses. That way I can help you guys sell more of the service. Well, let me tell you, we didn't close any of them because at the end of I don't think we did a good job of managing that first. But second, at the end of that conversation, there was one guy that asked us, how am I supposed to believe you when you have no social presence? And those are big lessons for us because onto that point, we, as an agency, which we were just freelancing at the time, we were helping a lot of people with their stuff, but we were not putting any love back into our own platform. So it was really a gut punch. And it was a lesson that to this day we carry 7 years later when we decide to be consistent online. So that was the first decision. We have to be okay with the decision to be like, can we be consistent over a long period of time? And that's going to look very different for every single creator out there. That might look maybe a post once a week, maybe a podcast episode once a week, right? Think about content in these buckets, like long form, short form, right? In long form, you have podcasts and you have YouTube videos. Some of them might take more resources than others. And then short form, some of them might take more resources than others. So if you think about, let's say, podcasting or YouTube, out of those two, what do you enjoy creating the most? Maybe it's neither, and maybe you want to write a blog, right? Or an email every single week. The point here is to commit to a consistent cadence every single week that you do not fail to deliver, whether that's a weekly email, a weekly podcast episode, a weekly YouTube video. What's it going to be? And then through the same lens, look at your short form content. Are you publishing one Facebook Live a day? Are you doing one clip a day? Right? Is it high edited? Is it low edited? Is it off the cuff? Is it scripted? And once you start looking at these elements, then you're going to be able to map out how long is this going to take me? How long is this going to take to my team? Right? So the second step that we told, that we kind of debriefed on this conversation was we should be doing a time study or resource study to keep an account of our resources to move this forward. So if it's just you by yourself, if you're a solopreneur, how much time do you have available a week to be able to do this? If you have a team, what are their skills? Can they edit video? Can they edit a podcast? Can they edit the microclipping? Are you willing to invest into learning these skills? Or are you willing to invest into your team learning these skills? Or are you willing to go hire somebody that already does it, right? Those are kind of like the 3 levels. So these are some elements that I would recommend start looking into it. In our specific case, when we started the show, which has been our main source of content for many, many years now. I think this is episode 500 something, which we're very proud. It came out of a moment of need. We had a little bit more capacity. We're coming out of creating a live video for 45 days straight just to get in the habit of creating stories and sharing stories and doing things. And we decided, okay, the commitment is 3 times a week. What needs to happen so we can create a podcast episode, a 1-hour podcast episode with somebody else 3 times a week? Well, first we have to reach out to a lot of people to get them to interview or have this conversation. So we started immediately with our network. So that took us about 30 minutes a day. That was a commitment to do that. Right now it happens a little bit automatic. After each interview, we just ask people who can we bring into the show to collaborate. And then after we started asking, we start putting them right in this calendar. We committed to 3 times a week, not random times. We decided, hey, we're going to record Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon. This is super important because it allows to put just people that said yes into this bucket. We will say, hey, next Wednesday or Friday, does that work for you at noon? And they'll be like, yes, perfect. It works well. No, not a lot of back and forth, not a lot of time wasting. And if they say no, we just give 2 more options on the same days. Right now, we send a calendar, which is a month out, and they book the calendar right there, and it's good to go, right? So if you have any questions, obviously, don't hesitate to reach out at BizRus. Go on social media. We're happy to help you with your podcast flow, your content creation flow, right? It works the same as collaboration. Let's say you're recording a YouTube video. Hey, my recording days are Mondays. My recording days are Tuesdays. Make sure that you have that block allocated for creation. Once you created it, perfect. What does the post-production look like? Is it not a lot of post-production where literally what we record is the main episode? Or maybe you enjoy the process of editing. How long? 1 hour episode, is that going to take me 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? Depending on first, your skill or your team's skills. Or third, are you willing to pay somebody to edit your show? So we have people here in the studio that come in and either they rent the hour and we give them the content and they do their own editing, which is great, right? Or they come in, they record the episode and they don't have anybody to help them with the editing of the podcast. We take on that production, which is great as well. Whatever works for your system. So start allocating those times and resources depending on what you want to create. Now, Luis, if, let's say, I'm not sure what type of content should I be creating, right? But we know that we need a social presence online today in 2024 as we're recording this podcast episode, right? Well, what are some of the social media channels that you enjoy consuming, being there, engaging, right? Because that's where the connection is going to happen. So you enjoy LinkedIn? Perfect. What type of content can we publish on LinkedIn? We have newsletters, we have blogs, we have video content, we have stills. If you enjoy Instagram, do you have Instagram stories, which is more like kind of behind the scenes type of deal, like during the day, right? Or you have stories, you have Instagram Live. There's many elements to each platform, right? I personally recommend podcasting because for me, that was easy. It was the least friction for me to create and have a conversation on riff. We would just invite somebody that we really enjoy and respect, and we will have a great conversation with them, and then that turns into awesome content, right? That we can publish online. We continue to do it 3 years in, 4 years in, and the clips continue to bring new people into our world. The amount of subscribers doesn't really matter because our priority is that relationship. So I encourage, find a platform that you enjoy collaborating with somebody else, right? Whether that's your audience, right? That you have comments with them, right? Or messages or DMs, or somebody that you can bring into the platform, whether it's a podcast, a blog, a collaboration blog, language block here. Or maybe it's a YouTube channel, right? That you enjoy the creative process of doing something like that, right? Or if you have the resources, what team can help you get there? Give us a call. We're happy to help you with the podcast, long-form content, YouTube, and any of that, right? Especially if you're a B2B. But those are maybe the first few things I will start looking into and do an internal audit on how can you be consistent. What's the time that you're going to allocate to do that? I'll give you another example, right? We have this amazing person that we've been working with for quite a while now. We helped her relaunch the book that her dad wrote. It's an incredible business book. And to promote it, one of the strategies that her expert marketing person told her was a daily podcast. But she didn't want to create a daily podcast. She didn't want to record every single day. So we just reframed it to, okay, what's the time that we can allocate for you to create content? And she told us 60 minutes to 90 minutes a week. Perfect. So what are we talking about? We're going to be debriefing pieces of content from the book. Can we talk about 5 to 7 minutes for each idea? And then that 1 hour to 90 minutes a week turned out into 5 to 6 episodes a week because we were doing shorter episodes. So again, if we know exactly what are the resources, what's the time that we have available, we can put in that as a container to be able to create the output that we want on a single week as distribution. Once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. Doesn't have to be long form if you don't enjoy long form. That's one of the most things the most common questions that we answer every single day. So one of the things that helped us kickstart the creation process without too much friction, right? Without worrying too much about the equipment, without worrying too much about, what camera do I record, like what thing do I say, what guest, was going live for 45 days straight. And we've done 3 seasons of this, which means 3 times. And we haven't brought it back in about a year. But I think it might be a good idea to bring it back. I just had a call also with somebody that's doing 100 days of Facebook Live. And she told us that we were a big inspiration for her to do that. And when I asked her, why are you doing this? She said, because of me. I want to put in the hours. I want to put in the time to practice my message day in and day out. And as a creator, as an entrepreneur, we want to put in the hours to be able to be good at creating content. And let's say you don't want to be the face of your content. Perfect. I still recommend for you to create because it's going to bring you the knowledge and the context to then you're going to take that and then you're going to hire somebody else to do it, to be the voice of it, right? And you're going to have context to be able to give feedback, to be able to evolve, to be able to maybe pick somebody different if they're not, collaborating with the vision that you have. So anyways, a little bit of random thoughts, but at the end of the day, it's like, what are these elements that you can start grabbing to be able to be consistent over a long period of time? So hopefully this was useful. I love the conversation with Katie. Check it out, Katie Brinkley, the episode. Probably was 3 or 5 episodes above. And with that said, thank you so much for tuning to the Content is Profit podcast, and we'll see you soon.